right, good morning. You're listening to Joe's Web Geeks, presenting the Digital Revolution Show. The goal of this show is to make sense of the internet for local companies and give you back your unfair advantage. I'm Cloudwise Joe. I'm your host, and then I have my super geeks with me. Got Chauncey. How you doing, Chauncey?
The dude abides.
All right, I'm sure that makes sense to somebody. That's like the third time you guys used a big word on me today.
The dude abides.
Sean.
It's from the Big Lebowski. All right, introduce Sean.
All right, Sean.
You're
you
calling
go
me a
ahead and
web
use
geek
some
now? That's
giant word. Yeah, I like web geeks.
okay. I guess I'm a web geek. I was an internet superhero, but now I'm a web geek. That's cool.
Well, maybe you're a web geek superhero.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Maybe I should have talked to you about this before we went live.
Totally. Yeah, thanks for
Introducing Sean, my web peon.
yeah. Thanks for airing our secret identities, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, so believe it or not, we have a really good show today, separate from the opening. We've got a really cool show. So this guest we have on is a really neat guest. His name is Mark Sorensen. He's a CEO of Social High Rise. Now, at first, when I was looking into him and what he does, I was thinking it was mostly just social media. But it turns out that he's got, it looks like an application that helps restaurants manage social media. And I found out that there's all kinds of challenges restaurants face that are really specific. And so we're going to have Mark on. So if you own a restaurant or work in a restaurant, you're definitely going to want to listen to this show.
We've just been serving it up on a silver platter to restaurants recently. We've got the SEO.
Yeah, we really have, huh?
We have had a couple restaurants on the show.
Good pun, Sean.
But thank you. I was hoping someone would notice. Or,
yeah, I noticed. I just didn't want to underline it. The other really neat thing about this show is we're now 2 hours. Well, that's neat for us.
Yeah.
Our audience might be going, oh, darn it, I was hoping they're going down to 15 minutes.
Totally.
But,
wow.
yeah, this show's 2 hours long. We'll be going 2 hours from now on. You know, we've always had so much to talk about, and it's always felt so rushed that I decided to extend the show out so we can cover the topics more.
Yeah.
So this show's 2 hours.
To be fair, there's really only 15 minutes of interesting information in it.
Right, that's your segment, isn't it?
Yeah. My segment is really, you might want to fast forward to around 45:22, and
right.
You'll get to the good stuff. I don't know
what
time my segment really is.
We're sorry,
to our podcast. Yeah.
That's funny.
So good. That's actually a good segue to, you can listen to us on podcast. You can find us on iTunes. You can go to digitalrevolutionshow.com and click on podcasts and download our podcast from whatever podcast platform you're interested in. We got a bunch of them there. We've also got a Facebook page. The Digital Revolution Show Facebook page is a great resource for advice and helpful topics, things that we may not get to on the show. In particular, there's a post on there right now that I kind of hope we get to in this show. It's how to discover your customers' most Googled frustrations and solve them. If we get to that, I'll be super excited. But we've got a pretty good show, and we've got a bunch of other stuff going on. A couple other things we're going to do in this show is Chauncey is going to enlighten us on search engine optimization, also known as SEO. That might be one of the most important things you need to understand about the internet is SEO and how Google's working for you.
Chauncey's looking pretty smug over here.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe he went from geek to superhero.
The mask is going on.
Yeah. And as always, Sean's out there interviewing businesses and customers and figuring out what's actually happening on the street. What are we going to call that, Sean? It's got to be something like, because you're not intern at large anymore. You're a full-blooded hero geek.
Well, I think we need
maybe at large in the sense that I'm like stalking people and getting information.
That's
about
what I
them.
think. I think we need to add some pomp to this situation. We need to videotape it and have you hop out of a bush or something, wearing a banana suit or I don't know.
Yeah.
Something truly just
I mean,
terrifying.
That wouldn't be much of a change from my daily routine.
I was
I'll
just
be
going to
honest.
say.
I'd just be asking them questions about the internet
Right.
instead of,
The only problem is Sean's banana suit is currently at the cleaners.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, we
Tomato
probably
sauce
don't
on
have
it.
to give Sean advice on how to stalk people. So I don't think we'll have to worry about that.
Yeah,
I
so
think
what's
we've
a-
said too much already.
What? No.
Let's
The
move
purpose here is to come up with a good name for your segment, and that is Sean, the man about town, or Sean the Cosmopolitan.
Cosmopolitan Sean.
Yeah, Cosmopolitan Sean, out there on the large city streets of our humble hometown, getting internet advice from folks who
Do things really
curse
need
at
names?
the internet
I
on
don't
a regular
know.
basis.
Right. That's right. You are a millennial, so we shouldn't be labeling anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Sean
Don't
X.
put me in a box, man.
Totally.
Yeah.
It. We'll just call him It. It's the
there you
It
go.
segment.
Yeah, that's
There you go. I'm going to cover. There's something I get asked all the time, and I probably should point out the SEO segment that you're going to cover today, Chauncey. You're covering it from the perspective of questions you get asked all the time, right? So this is relevant information that people are asking.
I tend to cover it from one of two angles. One would either be questions that I'm asked on a regular basis, or the other would be questions that I should be asked.
That's a good one.
The one today is more down the lines of questions that I should be asked that I'm
audience,
not being
right?
asked. Yeah.
Ask the right questions.
Right, yeah. It's
Yeah.
basically, if you got a business and this is one of the things that you need to go to your SEO company and say, I want to know this, and there is a list of those questions that people just are not asking their SEO company. And when you don't ask the list of things that you should be asking, basically what you're doing is you're hucking money at your SEO company and expecting something, and they're delivering something else. And in all likelihood, those two things do not correlate with one another.
Okay, so that's a really interesting point because I have found that internet marketing, website, and other internet tools like CRMs or email and things like that, they're the only departments in all of business where the business owner doesn't control it. It's where, and they don't control it because they don't know what questions to ask in a lot of cases, or, people like us spend our whole lives trying to figure this stuff out. So I think in some cases a business owner says, well, they know more than me. Right. But what ends up happening when you're a business owner and you're not in control is your agenda is not being fulfilled, no matter how nice or good or honest your SEO vendor, your web vendor, whoever they are, no matter how good they are. If you don't know how to lead and guide them, then they're not going to fulfill your agenda.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh yeah, I think that they take this out of the realm of other things. If I'm a business owner and I have a guy who runs my machine that I send out his stuff, he may be able to run the machine better than me, but I am able to grasp the top level things that make sure that machine gets run and gets run safely and gets the job done.
Right. Okay, so as usual, Jared is bossing me around, telling me we're coming up on our last minute of this segment. So keep listening because this is going to be a really awesome show. We've got a lot of things we're going to cover, and the whole idea is for us to make sense of the internet for you, local business, so you can take control again. So come on back right after this break. All right, welcome back to the Digital Revolution Show, where Jared picks the best music in the world. Okay, so in our last segment, we kind of outlined what this show is going to be about. It is a longer show. We're really excited about that. We've got all kinds of stuff to go over. And one of the things we want to do in this segment is find out what Sean the internet wizard, geek, whatever we want to call him, found out when he was out there interviewing businesses and customers. But before we get into that, I did want to update everybody because I'm really excited about what's going on with CloudWise Academy. So CloudWise Academy is one of the businesses that we own. It's a school where we teach technology skills in a really accelerated fashion. Sean's taken it. Chauncey's been a teacher. So we love CloudWise Academy. It might even be one of my biggest missions. But what's really exciting is we're actually teaching in the colleges now. We are currently teaching South Korean foreign exchange students and American students. Sean, have you been to that class and seen how it's going?
I have not yet. I'm going next week.
Next week, okay.
But yeah.
South Korean foreign exchange students. This is new to me, so let's cover this. Is this like a English as a second language sort of teaching class?
Well, no, it's what it is,
fluent.
and I'm not 100% sure the name of the grant or the organization that's doing this, but there's a grant that's partnered with Shasta College in some way, and that grant is to help promote commerce, overseas commerce, and connection between the countries, and please don't let me be the defining definition of that grant. And so they reached out to us because they had a number of foreign exchange students who come and for a short period of time go to Shasta College and get introduced to California and the North State. And what they wanted was part of that experience. They wanted those students to learn how to develop a website. And the cool thing is build a website and launch it that records their experience. So they're close to done. I think they finish next week, and this whole group will have built a website that's recording everything they've done. They've got pictures and videos, and they're going to be able to keep in touch with each other through this website. And other people who are thinking about doing this program will be able to look at this website and see what the experience was. So the value of the class and what we taught has a lot of levels. Next year's program will be able to see how much fun these kids had and all that. So super excited about that.
Yeah,
I hope
absolutely.
we get to do more of those.
Yeah. That's definitely a good selling point for the class. You know, you are basically working on the class and sharing with the next class exactly what they could learn. That's a great.
People
idea.
come from 3,000 miles around to take our classes.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right. People come all the way from
However
South
many
Korea to take our
thousands
classes.
We've gone global. The show's already the show is already at this point transcontinental, and now the classes are global.
That's
so
true.
Here we are.
That's true. This show is all over the place, and the classes are too. And we also have worked out teaching for Butte College's contract ed, and that's where Butte College helps teach local businesses relevant skills, local businesses and their employees relevant skills, and we're teaching 4 classes for them starting in fall. So, exciting stuff going on at CloudWise Academy. It's exciting to me because I founded it, but and that's cool. But it's also, I think it's more exciting to me that the school system in our local economy is embracing learning these things and supporting this. We've had state senators come to look at our school. I mean, it's been amazing.
Well, definitely, we know this, at least throughout California, that these smaller towns that have embraced tech have jumped up economically above their peers.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like whether you want it or not, tech is coming.
Yeah. I like when you said that this invention has happened.
Right.
And no one's putting this invention away. So it does have to be embraced.
Yeah, I think tech
embraced
isn't so
wisely.
much. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think tech isn't so much coming as it's walked through the front door and it's sitting in the living room and asked for some refreshments.
It's announced itself. It put its feet up on your coffee table and is hanging out on your couch. Now you can complain to your wife how you want it to leave, but it's not going to leave.
Right. It lives here now.
Right.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I want to get into your segment, Sean, but one last little point. The one of the topics I hope we get to is an article about the 5th generation of the internet or of mobile internet, which is coming. And when you look at your phone and it says 4G, 3G, all those are all generations of mobile internet. And this next one coming, although no one's really clear about how it will impact, is huge. And it makes everything that's happening on the internet more powerful. So maybe we'll get to that. But okay, Sean, now that we've ruined most of your segment.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just going to talk about pizza. So
I would have known that.
Nobody likes pizza.
No. Well, so I talked to the good people at Cinder's Wood-Fired Pizza.
Ooh, I like that pizza.
Yeah, they're really good.
I do.
I mean, I love pizza, and I especially love, like, sort of thin crust Neapolitan-style artisan sort of pizzas.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know I would order them from there, but I think in Reading, if you want to go and sit down somewhere and eat a fresh pizza, that's pretty much the place to do it. So I was in there not because I had any intention of interviewing them, just because I like the pizza and I go there every so often. But we did get to talking because I was the only person in there for some reason. It was really late in the day. About
should have been working.
about the internet, and about how they are doing really well online. They've got this great site. They're showing up for all sorts of things, even things that have nothing to do with pizza. You just type in restaurants in Reading, and they'll show up fairly high. They've got 80-some reviews on their Facebook, and they're using their Facebook really well. You scroll down it, and you see, hey, come on in, we were doing this promotion or that promotion, and, like, a whole bunch of comments below it. So I'm like, hey, wow, you're doing really good with this. I happen to work in the field, so I noticed. And they're like, yeah. They just said, yeah, we are doing really well. And
I like that confidence.
And they just remarked that it was funny that they had so little competition in this area.
So little, I mean, they obviously have competition in pizza. They mean so little competition in the world of
online.
Online competition.
Yeah. So I got to talking with them some more, and I asked them how long they had been in Reading, and they said 6 years. And it all started to make a little more sense. Because it seems like whenever I talk to someone whose business is 5 or 6 years old, they did everything right for this current online paradigm from the very get-go. And that's kind of what happened with these people. Their site has always been mobile friendly. They've always had a website.
It's like their business.
They've always been on Facebook.
It's like their business grew up in this world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's something that really helps, and I think it's an interesting point to look at for someone who has been around here longer. It's like, gee, these upstarts are coming in and kind of dominating this area. Mm-hmm. And they seem shocked at how little pushback they've gotten on Google, basically.
Well, I bet you one of the
Yeah.
The hard parts that the older businesses have is that I think they're hesitant to hire young people, and then they're all the more hesitant to listen to them.
Yeah, so I wasn't actually talking to the owner. I was talking to the young people who handle this.
Of course, because being a new business, they're going to have young people and therefore compete.
Right. Yeah. And they were only so happy to, say, yeah, we're better than every other restaurant.
Sounds like
online stuff. Yeah.
I'm going to live forever.
Yeah, so that's kind of what they were like, but it's hard to say they're wrong.
Right.
Well,
okay.
Their
so
attitude
when you're
makes
saying,
good pizza.
They do make good pizza.
When I've never been. I love pizza. When you're saying that they are surprised about how they're not getting pushback in the internet, but how exactly are they using the internet? Are they just making sure they're found? Are they selling online? Or
so it's a couple of things. And I think the big thing is they aren't just making sure they're found. They're aggressively going after customers, existing customers and new customers using social media. I think
Interesting.
That's the biggest thing.
Did they share with you what kind of technique they use to go after customers? Are they, are they running coupon deals? Are they,
Yeah, they didn't tell me a lot about that, but looking at their Facebook page, it seems clear that they're doing kind of like what Mimi Mosley talked about when we had her on. They're announcing deals on Facebook. Like the next few people who come in will get this offer or deal or what have you. And their audience happens to be fairly engaged on Facebook in particular. Seems to be the really big one. And so that works.
Yeah. Now, isn't it interesting? Because remember, Mimi was saying that worked, right? She would say, "Hey, come in and get a free bottle of wine for the first 5 people," or whatever, however that was.
Right. So it's not just them.
It worked. Yeah.
It's not just wine. It's pizza also. So.
Well, really, isn't that all there is to life, though?
Wine and pizza. Yeah.
I think they fall under the same category of
the only good things about the universe.
Commodities.
Yeah.
Or that.
Right.
All right,
but
guys.
See what I think. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. We're coming to the end of this segment, and I want to make sure that I remind everyone that we're about ready to have a guest in the next segment. Mark Sorensen, he is the CEO of Restaurant Social Media Management. Super excited to have him on the line, and so definitely come back after this break. Talk to you in a bit. Okay, welcome back to the Digital Revolution Show. All right, in this segment, really excited. I think we're going to pull back the green curtain on social media, and especially for restaurants. So our guest is Mark Sorensen. He's the CEO of Social High Rise. Now, Social High Rise, from what I can tell, and Mark, you'll fill us in here, but Social High Rise is a restaurant social media management company and even tool, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, hey, welcome to the show, Mark.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, exciting. How's your day going?
It's going really well. It's really hot. We're located down here in Chico, and so the heat is burning us up.
Yeah, it is hot out there in North California. I'm in Tennessee right now, and when I tell people I'm from California, they think it's all beach and cool. They don't realize it gets to 110 and 115 there in California.
I'm surfing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's going well. It's a nice, beautiful Saturday morning. Got to go on a run, and now I get to chat with you gentlemen. This is good.
I have a feeling you're the most productive person here on your Saturday morning. We're like,
debatable.
Oh,
That's
you went
debatable.
on a run. Oh, we just rolled out of bed, and now we're in a radio station.
I watched like half a movie before I came in here.
Oh, well. I mean, well done there.
Hey, to each their own. I'm envious of the movie watching too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, I'm 3 hours ahead of you guys right now, and you all have me beat, so I don't know what that says about me.
Well, I feel that as a web developer, I really have a physique that I need to maintain that conveys that I'm a web developer.
Right. You wouldn't trust a web developer
Yeah.
who looked like a bodybuilder.
Right, yeah. I mean...
Why aren't they spending all their time in front of
Totally. I look like I sit at a computer 24/7, and that's how people know I'm working.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get this show back on track. Okay, Mark, we've got you on the show, and I want to try to pull back the green curtain on social media. And I also want to find out more about your company because it's super interesting. But could you tell me a little bit about you and how you even got involved in social media or creating a company and a platform to support restaurants? How did you get here?
Yeah. So let's see. So I grew up in Chico, California. When I left, I promised I would never return because I felt like there was nothing for me there. As many can relate to, I was a terrible student. I didn't care much for school, but I did it anyways. And anyway, I graduated high school. After high school, I went and lived in Venezuela for 2 years. I served a mission, and basically served people for 2 years, and that kind of opened my eyes and showed me that there's a lot more to life than just skateboarding and wakeboarding. So after I did that, I studied at Brigham Young University out in Utah, and And I still didn't ever become a good student, actually. That never really happened. But I was always fascinated with entrepreneurship. I took a lot of those classes. I got a minor in business. I got a degree in geography, of all things, which is totally a fascinating and boring topic at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, like city planning, urban development. So I studied that and kind of meandered my way through college. Towards the end of college, I started a company called Karma Key with several other people. And what we were trying to do is trying to solve the restaurant loyalty punch card problem, where you have 100 cards in your pocket and the buy one get one free, or buy 10 get one free type of loyalty angle. And so we built this mobile app that was going to be like the digital version of the card, and that a customer could use at multiple different restaurants in their area. And it's a brilliant idea, of course. There's probably about 10 companies doing almost the exact same thing.
Right.
But we were a terrible startup, so I ran that company for about 2 years and ran it into the ground completely. We ran out of money. We built half of what we wanted to build. We found out that half of what we did build, nobody cared about.
Right.
And so the company died. But in that process, we got really involved and really intimate with a lot of different restaurants and interviewing them and being, basically camping out there for days on end to try to understand what they needed us to build them. And we got really familiar with their marketing challenges, with operation challenges. We kind of saw firsthand what they dealt with. And social media was always one of them, but it was one that we never really touched for that business.
Can I ask you a question there? Was social media one of the challenges that a lot of them didn't even know was a challenge?
Totally.
Totally. Yeah, like you knew it was a challenge, and maybe some of them said it was a challenge, but they didn't all even fully digest the impact of social media, did they? No,
they didn't. Not even close.
Right.
Some of them understood that hey, here's this new thing that maybe it would be smart for me to pay attention to. But most of them, they were still they just got their brand new cell phone, let alone understood that social media was, really taking off. This was back in 2010, 2011. So
Right.
It was still more of a new thing back then.
I'm
much
guessing
more than
that
it is now.
I'm guessing that their understanding of the need of social media really didn't go much further than the understanding of the need of reviews, even if that.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, they had a very, very traditional marketing mindset when they thought about their business, and social media and we can get into this later, but it just didn't really fit much into any of those traditional categories as much as they wanted it to.
Right.
So yeah, it was something that I kind of noticed on the back end. Anyway, so Karma Key was a failure. Probably one of the best learning experiences I can point to, and it was hard. It's not fun to dump your heart and soul into something and watch it burn up in flames.
Right.
But anyways, I walked away from that. I wasn't dead, so that was a bonus. So life goes on. And I worked for a startup in San Francisco. They were a startup at the time, and they managed social media for all small businesses. And I joined them because I believed in that cause. I knew that was a problem that could be solved and that needed to be solved. So I joined with them. I worked in their sales department. That was kind of that's how I got through college, paid for college. I took these different sales jobs. I sold pest control door to door, for goodness sake, for 4 years. So I joined their sales team, and I did really well. I broke a couple of different records, and they thought that I was really good, and I was, and so I started to manage for them. But I realized really early that their culture was one that I just really didn't like. I couldn't buy into it. It was a lot of the rule by fear and intimidation. You know, you say one thing, you do another. You know, culture values are like these things on a poster, but nobody actually does them. You know, that type of thing. And I just figured, you know, this is a waste of my time. I can't. Yeah, I thought a startup was something where, you know, I could join early and contribute, right? And that wasn't happening.
Right.
Not even close.
Right.
So I quit. So I left. But I was passionate about what they did. I looked at how they were doing it. I thought I could do a better job. So I ended up moving back up here to Chico and started Social High Rise from scratch.
Now, how long have you been running Social High Rise, or when did you start it?
So we started in November 2012. So we're coming up on 5 years.
Yeah.
That's like positively venerable in the world of social media.
I was just going to say, you're basically a Fortune 500 that's been around for 100 years in the social media world.
Yeah.
I was going to say that next, but thank you for making that point. Thank you.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Let's pull back this a little bit because you know, we manage and work on just about everything internet, and we're more jacks of all trades. At least my company. And you know, social is one of those things that even I don't always know that I understand or get. And so, well, Jared's bossing me around again. We're going to come up to the break here. What I want to talk about when we get back, Mark, is why does social even matter? You know, what is this thing that's happened that's social? And then particularly, why does it even matter to restaurants? And I want to get specific. You know, I want to talk specifically what things are working and happening. And so that's what we'll talk about when we come back from the break. So that was a great teaser, folks. I hope you come back after the break. You're listening to the Digital Revolution Show. Welcome back to the Digital Revolution Show. You know what I keep forgetting to do is to give the call-in number. If you'd like to be a part of the show or you'd like to ask Mark questions, give us a call at 605-4567. Again, that's 605-4567. 6-7.
We get like 50 calls, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so we're here with Mark Sorensen. He's the CEO of Social High Rise. Social High Rise is a restaurant, social media management company and application, from what I can tell. And in the last segment, we were finding out why we should even listen to Mark, and it sounds like we should. And we're finding out more about his business and how it got started. But right before the segment was over, we asked... or we tease that we want to find out what social media even is or why it even matters, because I think it's become something that just about every business I talk to says, I think I need to do it. I know I need to do it, but I don't know what doing it means. You know, I don't know what I should be doing or why.
It's a buzzword sometimes.
Yeah. So, Mark, could you shed some light on this? And even if it's from the perspective of a restaurant, could you get specific on what it is social media is doing for business or how they should work with it?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I can share from a restaurant perspective. You know, candidly, when we first started, we managed social media for any type of small business. I mean, we had internet companies to mom and pop florists and heating and air conditioning and insurance and all kinds of stuff. So we did get a lot of experience dealing with more than just the restaurant industry, even though now we're totally focused on restaurants. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start by saying this. I mean, our philosophy at Social High Rise, our philosophy is different than what we estimate maybe like 90% of the traditional marketing world would say their philosophy is for social media. And and a lot of them disagree with us. Some of them agree with us, but they don't necessarily do it. And the difference is that we believe social media is really all about relationships and customer service and people and humans, and not so much about selling and advertising and the traditional marketing. And it definitely has those components, and it's important to note that. However, you know, the goal is to get more customers, right? And for social media, a lot of marketers still try to apply some of the same traditional marketing strategies or principles that they may have used on like TV or radio or print or even digital advertising, SEO and web marketing. A lot of those principles don't work very well for restaurants in particular, but for a lot of small businesses, because that's not why people use social media. And so, in 5 years of doing this, our philosophy is that, hey, everything that we do has to be from the lens of how are we delivering customer service? How are we increasing the strength of the emotional bond or the relationship between our client and their customers? And as we do our work through that lens, we end up getting the things that give us more customers or that sell the products, right? And so it's not as straightforward as a lot of people want to make it. It's not as simple.
Right.
It is a simple strategy, but it's not, me make post, you see post, you eat my food. It's not that simple. It's like, I make a post, you may see that post, and then you're going to forget about it. And then you're going to go about your day, and then you see a tweet, and you forget. And you maybe see a share from a friend who, whatever, and it reminds you, and you forget. And then finally, when you're looking at where to go, and you see them on Yelp, and you say, oh yeah, I remember, I really like that place, I'm going to go there, right? So
it's really interesting the way you're saying that, because that's how I look at websites. We get customers all the time who say, well, I want my website to generate more leads and sell more stuff. I say, well, good. That's really what everybody wants. But is that what people are looking for on a website when they're buying your types of products, right? Are they looking for you to tell them how great you are, or do they need technical information? Are they looking for customer service? What are they looking for? And you really got to start from the lens of your customer to build out your website or your online marketing. And so it sounds like to you, and I totally agree with you, that social media is more an extension of your customer service or experience and how you relate and connect with your customers. I mean, am I summing it up in a fairly accurate way?
That's precisely. That's even how we articulate it, that this is an extension of customer service, except online. And you're right, it does come back to a customer's perspective. And if you think about it, any of you who use social media, look, none of us go on Facebook or Twitter to get sold to. That's not why we go there. We go there to connect with the people and the places and the stuff that we love. And so if I happen to be someone who loves a particular restaurant enough to like them on Facebook and follow and hear what they have to say, like, I don't need to be sold anymore. I don't need to be told. It's like, here's the mistake that restaurateurs and all small businesses make, is the content they create, and you ask, like, what do I post on, what should people post on Facebook? The mistake that they make is they post just the really obvious, like, here are my specials, here's when happy hour is, and it's just really obvious and just kind of salesy content. And we see that as like, hey, look, if you went to a cocktail party, and it's like going to a cocktail party, and there's always that guy at the cocktail party who's trying to sell you on something, who's like handing out his business cards and like trying to get you on his multi-level marketing scheme or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then there's like always that guy or gal who like won't shut up about themselves. It's like the conversation always is about them, about them, about them. Nobody wants to talk to those types of people. And so don't be that kind of person when you're thinking about what to post on social media. Like, you go to a cocktail party,
isn't it weird?
You want to.
Isn't it weird that businesses get that when they're out in public talking to friends or at social events? They don't. They're polite people who don't constantly sell while they're at a social event or a fundraiser or whatever. But as soon as you think of the website or their social media, they turn into this expectation that they just want to yell at everybody, come buy my stuff, right? Isn't it weird that
it is weird. And I mean, that's I think that's what the internet does. I think, because you can maybe hide behind the internet in a way, and there's a lot of anonymity. People have just kind of become used to being able to say and do things that without thinking about this going out to actual real individuals, right? It's like you and I are talking on right now, but I'm not talking to you like you're my audience, right? But sometimes you are talking like you're talking to the audience, right? But then we're having a conversation. So there's a difference. And so on social media, we believe that this should always be a conversational thing, and it's not a revolving marquee board. It's not a billboard. It's not somewhere where you just plaster your stuff and then expect people to be like super stoked and like come in droves.
I think another reason why a lot of businesses fall victim to that is that they have a general distrust of online marketing, and they want every dollar that they spend to convert to some sort of monetization. So why would I post anything other than something that's going to convert? But they don't get the sort of nebulous abstractness of how that works.
You're right. And, some social media, some of it is quantitative. There are metrics and numbers, but most of it is qualitative. It's hard to measure the strength of a relationship on an individual basis. I mean, it's like, people ask me, what's the value of social media? And I stole this from Gary Vaynerchuk, who I love, if you know who he is. But it's like, what's the value of your mother? I don't know. I don't know what my value
3 or
of my
4,
mom is.
Yeah, right. 3 or 4.
But she's valuable. There's value there. I don't know what that number is, but there's value, and you can trust that. So in the same way, social media is the same way. And we don't think social media replaces anything. We think that it supports everything. So whatever you're doing at the restaurant, whatever you're doing at the business, should be reflected on social media, and not just the specials. But it's like there's a reason why there's so many TV shows that talk about how it's made and behind the scenes and how it works and this and that. People love that kind of stuff. And if you as a restaurant can kind of open the kimono, so to speak, and talk about how the food is made or where you source your ingredients, hey, we're the farmer's market. Those are stories that are interesting. People are interested in that stuff. And it gives them better context so that when they come to the restaurant the next time, they have that in the back. That fills out more of the backdrop for why they enjoy eating there. Wow, it's like people like those little factoids. Yeah, well, this.
Hey, Mark, we're going to be coming up to the end of the segment, and I want to know more about what your business is and how it works. So, do you mind coming on to the next segment? Do you mind staying on over the break so we can learn more about how you're solving these problems?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Is that good? Okay.
That's
so
good.
We are coming up to the end of this segment. We're trying to make sense in this particular case of social media, and particularly for restaurants. And Mark, what's interesting is we've interviewed and had other restaurants on the show, and there seems to be some of these restaurants who just naturally do a great job. They have no strategy, but we found that they're doing exactly what you're describing. They just looked at social media as an extension of themselves to talk with their customers. They don't have some strategy to sell or to do anything. It was just natural, and those are the ones that are succeeding. And I see other restaurants and other businesses who have strategies and try really hard, and they get nowhere. So, I'd like to kind of talk about that a little bit and find out how your business is solving this problem. So you are listening to the Digital Revolution Show, and we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the Digital Revolution Show. I'm Cloudwise Joe, and I've got my internet superhero / geeks, or whatever they want to call themselves, on the line with me. But we've also got our guest, Mark Sorensen, who's the CEO of Social High Rise. They specialize in restaurant social media management. Normally, we only have a guest on for 2 segments, but this is such a big topic, and I'm so interested in making sense of this for our audience, and frankly, for me. I think sometimes, people think because we know technology or we know what's going on in the marketing world that we're specially experts in every little bit of it. And frankly, social media is not one of my personal specialties. Doesn't mean I don't understand it, but it's not a specialty. So we've got Mark. He stayed on for another segment. We really appreciate that, Mark. what I wanted to do is, in this segment, I wanted to get into what is it that your business actually does. I think that there probably couldn't be a more confusing term than social media management right now out there in the world. You know what I mean? I mean, is it so people go, oh, they make pretty pictures and share them out, or you know what I mean? I mean, it's
totally.
Such a strange topic. So what is it? Give me a high level what it is that your company does.
Yeah. So, I mean, from a high level, our service is, we see ourselves as going into partnership with restaurants where, you know, we literally are joining their team. So what we're not is like this cookie cutter service where, you know, you sign up online, you don't talk to anybody, and then things happen. That's not what this is. It's very involved. We're very hands-on. We're lots of communication. But yeah, we do create posts for sure, but there's a lot that goes into it. So, you know, if we were to bring on a new client, we would start everything off with a kickoff call, and that's, you know, a 30-minute to 60-minute phone call with a single dedicated account manager. And this is the person who we pair up with our clients, our restaurant clients, to do all of this work. So there's just a lot of continuity and clarity. You know, we're not outsourcing the work. We're not, you know, splitting it up among a bunch of different team members where there might be some confusion. So that's helpful. And in the kickoff call, there's two goals. Number one, we just want to make sure that we cover all the housekeeping things. We need to get access to credentials and make sure that profiles are built, et cetera. But then the other part of the call is where we really interview our client and ask them all kinds of questions. And what we're trying to understand and formally document is the essence and voice and personality of their business. We want to know about the business owner and their background. We want to know about how they source their food ingredients. We want to know in particular, you know, how do they get involved in the community? Do they donate to the Boys and Girls Club, or are they all dog lovers and they go walk their dogs together? Or do they, you know, they're members of the Chamber of Commerce? There's a million ways that a restaurant gets involved in their local community, and we want to know what those relationships are. So essentially what we're trying to do is any real relationship in the real world that exists between the restaurant and, you know, and the surrounding community, we want to know what those are. And so that becomes the foundation upon which we create content and respond to reviews and do all the work that we do so that it feels like them, looks like them, sounds like them.
Okay, so I've been in this for a long time, and I've paid for these services before I got into this business. And you know, you said some things that are exciting to me, or at least show me that you're a company that's going down the right path. You know, for instance, you don't outsource a lot of this stuff. It's really easy to outsource. The fact that you are having a dedicated rep work with clients to uncover things. So it sounds like a really solid, good foundation. Now, let's move over to so let's say a client has signed up, they've agreed to work with you. What are some of the activities that are going to happen now that they're working with you every month?
Yeah.
You're going to update things, create things. Tell me what it looks like.
Yeah. So first off, we create the profiles, update them, make sure the aesthetics match the brand, make sure that the information is correct. And then ongoing, we just make sure that if there are changes to that, like there's holiday hours or there's, you know, whatever changes to the menu, that those are always updated and reflected. But the bulk of our work is done with ongoing content management. So we're creating, so we work on Facebook, we work on Twitter, Instagram, and those are like the posting platforms. The other side of it is the review side, which is kind of, you know, we see social media split between, you know, inbound and outbound. It's kind of a way that we talk about it. Inbound being reviews that come in from customers, outbound being, you know, the message that you're sending out to your customers. So for Twitter, for Facebook, for Instagram, we will create original posts 2 to 3 times per week, consistently, ongoing. We optimize the times that we post. We pay attention to the type of content that gets particularly good engagement to create more of that type of content. We're responding to comments that come in directed towards the brand. You know, so we really are a customer service agency in a way for anything that comes in bound through social media. So questions that come in on Facebook.
And you guys
and
respond to those, so you'll help manage the customer service experience, huh?
100%.
Is that right?
You know, as I said earlier, social media for restaurants in particular, and for anyone really, any business, it really is about customer service as first and foremost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then and when you get that right, then the rest of the things fall in place much easier.
Now, now I'm looking at your plan breakdown right now, and I'm looking at your prices. So we'll go over that here in a second. But I think it's interesting because you're being pretty consistent here. As I look at your prices, you call them customer service, customer experience, customer delight. You know, I hope our listeners are getting your perspective here, especially the restaurants, because I really like what you're saying here about this relationship and dealing with customers. I am curious, though, how your team is able to ask or answer a question for a pizza restaurant in southern Florida, right? So what is it you're doing? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we'll take it from like a review side. So one of the things we do is we'll respond to every customer review that comes in on Yelp or on TripAdvisor. We do those privately first because that's the most effective way to actually connect with the customer on a personal level. If it warrants a public response, then we'll do that as well. For positive comments, most 3, 4, 4, and 5 star reviews, they're happy customers. It's typically easy to respond to them. What we learn in the kickoff call is usually enough. There's not a lot of issues that we're dealing with, so those are just easier, right? It's like the goal is to help that customer feel heard and know that their positive review was appreciated, right? And that that sends a little endorphin hit off in their brain and makes them feel special, and all that connects back to their loyalty for the brand. But for the negative reviews, and every restaurant will get them, 1 and 2 stars, some 3 stars, depending on the way they lean. What we do is we'll draft our response the way that we would think that it should be addressed, to start, just as a starting point. And then we'll email that response to our client. Sometimes our client is the owner, sometimes it's the general manager. We typically want that to be someone who's, feet on the street, who understands the day-to-day of what's going on in the restaurant. And what we're asking for is context on this experience. So, we want them to understand that there was a customer that had a negative experience. Here's how we propose responding to them. Give us some feedback.
All right,
and we're
Mark,
always surprised.
I've got to interrupt you because we are coming into the end of this segment. Man, this segment went fast. Real quick, we got about 30 seconds. Can you tell us how to get a hold of you, or how restaurants can get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can go onto our website, socialhighrise.com. There's a contact page there. You can submit a contact form. I'll usually be the one who personally responds to those, actually, so that's neat. Or you can call our phone number, which is 855-957-6242. That's 855-957-6242. Just kidding.
All right, Mark. Hey, thanks for coming on the show, and I actually hope you'll come on the show again. Great information. Hey, restaurants, if you're listening, fantastic. I'll tell you right now, go to his website and check out his prices. They're great. They're fair. I think this is definitely something that's worth it. And we'll be back for our second hour of the Digital Revolution Show. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the Digital Revolution Show, where Jared picks music that to me feels like it's not the oldies, but my kids call the oldies.
Right.
I don't know when that happened.
Right. Why don't they make new oldies?
Right. Right. I remember when that happened too, by the way. I remember, in what would have been the 80s, they'd have those TV commercials that would be for records from the oldies, from the 60s or the 70s, totally, yeah. And I'd see people in crazy clothes, and you'd be watching your Ozzy Osbourne video, wondering why people dressed so weird in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
And I remember those were the oldies, and it seemed like a world a billion years away, right? Mm-hmm. And then I remember watching the music that I still considered contemporary scrolling across my TV as the goodies but oldies.
Right. Well, imagine how kids today look at, Warrant Or they look at Poison. They probably look at a Poison video, and it's probably like, so foreign to them. They're all, what is this? This is real.
I wish I could, jump in and make fun of you both, but I don't really listen to music, so, I don't have that ability to be a young whippersnapper about this.
How do you not
You're
listen
not
to
a
music?
whippersnapper. Okay, so, hey, guys, what did you think about that guest?
I think you're breaking up a little bit. But I think that I found it personally very eye-opening. When he said the inbound and outbound social media marketing to me, that really kind of, it's rare that somebody throws some sort of huge, cosmic concept at me that, blows my mind, because I'm normally thinking out there in this cosmic realm. The things that, blow my mind is when something is summed up as being so incredibly simple, and I look at myself and I think, why didn't I think of that? That is so simple. And so when he was referring to inbound and outbound social media marketing, inbound being what's coming from the visitor, so that would be reviews and comments and so on and so forth, and outbound being what we're sending out, that really sort of simplified what is very potentially a complex topic. It really kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
What do you think, Sean?
Well, that brings me back to the pizza place again, frankly.
Yeah, well, it should.
I was thinking about some of the stuff they were doing, and as he was talking, I realized a lot of what they were doing was pictures of their pizza, pictures of people in the restaurant enjoying their pizza, sharing things other people had posted about, hey, I'm at Cinder's having a good time.
Right.
And that all made a lot of sense to get the customer involved and engaged and just work with what you've already got.
Absolutely. I think a lot of these topics are very sort of, I used this term earlier, abstract and nebulous. They are out there, and a lot of people just kind of look at them and they glaze over, My example would be when I'm talking to my wife about SEO. When we first got married, I would be talking to my wife about SEO, and literally 5 to 30 seconds into the conversation, she would just kind of glaze over. You could see her.
Same thing happens when you talk to me about it.
Yeah,
Is my mic still scratchy?
Yeah, it is. But now I have to admit I've done pretty well now that we've been married for so long. I could probably get about 5, maybe 10 minutes into it before she
that's impressive.
glosses over. Yep. So you are listening to the Digital Revolution Show. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to have some nice tips for you on SEO and how to get your business to show up in search.
Welcome back to the Digital Revolution Show, where I just wanted to keep singing that song right there.
Heck yes.
Yeah. Okay, so, man, that was a great segment, great guest, and ironically, Chauncey, in this segment, we want to find out more about SEO, and you're gonna help us understand what's going on.
We want to find out more
and
about
that
SEO.
happens to be the very thing you tell us that whenever you talk about it, your wife's eyes glaze over.
So tune in, listeners.
Yeah. What a sales pitch, Charles.
So,
If
radio
you're an
listeners,
insomniac,
we
you'll want to
understand-
stay
Yeah,
in
we
for the
understand
next
I'm going to tune out for a bit. But
To be
you
fair,
won't.
she's a narcoleptic.
All right. Well, that might be something you gave her too.
Right.
All right. So, what's going on with? Okay, before you get started, sometimes I feel like we don't establish the importance of SEO or search engine optimization. We talk about it a lot. I think we talk about parts of it a lot. But let's put some context around what it really is, and I'm going to do a little bit, and then you can fill in here, Chauncey.
Okay.
Essentially, phones and computers and all these devices to access the internet have become so ubiquitous that we've now started using search as a way to make decisions. And so it's like Mark was saying, that social isn't all about yelling at people and telling them to buy your stuff. Same thing with search. People may not be ready to buy your service, but they may be trying to find out if they even need a carpet cleaner, right? Mm-hmm. So the idea of search is that at some point or another, in just about everybody's decision-making process into anything, search and Google and the Internet's going to play a role. So if you're a business, unfortunately, you do have to make sense of search. You do have to use it. You do have to try to work it in your favor so that you're being found. It is that critical, and I think that's why we cover it so much on this show. Okay, so would you add anything to that, Chauncey, or is that all sound fair?
Yeah. When we were talking to Mark about social media, you had made a comment about how you think that it was the most sort of confusing and misunderstood thing, and I was thinking to myself, no, I definitely think it's SEO is the most confusing and misunderstood thing for two reasons. For one, it's hard to show people what you're doing and to have them understand the value of what you're doing in order to make that happen, because SEO is built on 1,000 little things. Each one is a grain of sand, but when you put them all together, it creates a brick. And so if you explain any one little thing to a person, they're going to be, oh, well, that's pointless. And so I could explain all 1,000 to everybody, and they'd be, oh, well, that's pointless. Yes, but when we put them together, it makes a brick.
Okay, can I interrupt you for a second and put context around that too? Because it's interesting. There seems to be this behavior that's done when a vendor is trying to get you to use them to manage your social media, where they find something, a specific thing your current SEO or marketing team's doing wrong, right? Or something they haven't done.
Oh, yeah.
And I personally won't do that for the very reason you just mentioned.
It's a grain of sand.
It's a grain of sand. You can't get to all 1,000 things at any one time. All you can do is keep chipping away. And so at any point, anybody can come poke holes in somebody's SEO strategy. That's why I think it's so important that we share this advice and we empower businesses to have full context so that they can make wise decisions. They could say, oh, you're right, I wish my SEO guy was doing better at that. Or they can say, you know what, that's part of the strategy. I know we're getting to that, but right now we're working on this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, okay, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
Well, and the other one is that so many people have been burned.
Yeah.
For two reasons.
No one's chill about their SEO.
Right. It's confusing, so it's easy to burn people. It's one of those things that I think Sean deals with a lot as a copywriter, that a lot of people think, oh, words on a piece of paper, I can do that. I do it all the time. Yeah, but can you do it well? And, so a lot of people have hopped into it really just as a money-making ploy, but without any sort of deeper interest in how to actually make it happen and enjoying the rewards of seeing your more traffic.
Right. Yeah, good. All right. So what do you got for us?
Well, I got for you the beginnings. A lot of businesses go into SEO and seeing how, I'm on here and I can push for us to cover SEO more often so I can sound so smart on the radio. I figured I'd start at the beginning. And it's really sort of keywords. And before you start to do anything, you really kind of have to have a website and you got to have keywords. And I would say you need the keywords even before the website, because how do you know that you built your website correctly? But a lot of businesses have really no concept of keywords and what's a good keyword and how to find keywords. And so I thought I'd discuss keywords. There are two different ways that keywords can really be addressed by an SEO company. They can either be addressed as what I call key phrases or by what I call key concepts. And a key phrase would be pizza in Reading. A key concept would be the collection of long tail and semantic terms that fall under pizza in Reading. So I would like to find a pizza in Reading. What's the best pizza in Reading? All those little things. But I figured we'd just concentrate on key phrases, and helping people, pick the terms that they should be targeting. And more so than picking the terms that you should be targeting, how to make sure that your company is picking the terms that should be targeted.
Okay, so let me just take a step out here as I'm listening, and make sure that our audience is recognizing when you're talking about key terms. Still, I wish there was a better name for key terms or key concepts or whatever, but so far that's the best name this world's come up with. But what you're really talking about is people are typing into Google search box things like best restaurants in Reading, best pizza in Reading, pizza place opened near me. And those are what us in the SEO world call key terms, key concepts, keywords, whatever. It's basically what people are typing into that search box, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
A good starter place to go is with just the basic key phrase. So what does your business do? Well, we're going off of Sean's earlier segment, we're a pizzeria. So, you do pizza in Reading or pizzeria in Reading. Google is smart enough to figure out that those are the same things, that pizzerias serve pizza. And so they're going to serve up the same results. But, you have to be a little bit, earlier, Joe, you used the example of carpet cleaning, and this is a prime example of where a lot of people fail on this, and that is
I did that as a softball for you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm about to hit it out of the park. Can you do that with a softball?
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, carpet cleaners is my go-to example of probably not a very good search term. And the reason why is, what exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for somebody to clean your carpet, or are you looking for or are you looking for a machine to clean your carpet?
Right.
Both of those are covered by
Or
that.
a carpet cleaning agent that you pour on the carpet.
Right.
Or
Absolutely. Right. And so, this comes down to, basically, let's say there's carpet cleaner means those three things. And for the sake of argument, let's say they're all searched equally. So 2/3 of the people who hit your site would immediately leave.
Which is bad in Google.
Which is
Google
absolutely
hates to
bad.
see that.
Right. They're basically seeing that people don't like you.
And so they will not rank you highly, and so no one will see your site, and so you will die poor and lonely.
Right.
In the gutter.
And so, for the sake of keeping this interesting, hopefully people...
I just wanted to, follow that through to its conclusion.
Right. I realize this topic is a little boring. So, in the interest of keeping it interesting, I will attack other SEO companies.
Oh, my God.
And I have known so many SEO companies that go to the person and they say, well, what do you want to be found for? Perfectly viable question. What do I want to be found for? I want to be found for pizza. I'm a pizzeria. And they say, okay, well, what search terms do you want us to target? No. If your SEO company asks you that question, you need to hang
get
up
another
and,
one.
and get another one. They need to figure out those terms. They need to ask you your services and what you'd like to be found for. They need to interview you for these things. But if they are asking you to put down the terms, the trick here is that your business is going to pick terms that nobody's searching for. And so now you're in a contractual obligation to look for best darn pizza this side of the Mississippi, right? Nobody's looking for this. Well, maybe a few people, but. And so let's say I'm contracted as an SEO for best darn pizza this side of the Mississippi. Man, I got to put in 5 minutes worth of work and then charge you monthly. That is the trick that they're doing,
Yeah, let's step out here for a second and look at this because, really what you're doing here is you're pulling back the green curtain and you're putting a few people to sleep, but you're pulling back the green curtain.
Hey, man, I'm really trying here.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
I know.
It's awesome. You're pulling back the green curtain and you're helping our audience and our local businesses understand how to manage SEO companies. Now, we get that some people listening are do-it-yourselfers, and they're going to want to go out and do these things. I was probably a do-it-myselfer for the first 5 years of learning this stuff. And so we get that, and so you could take our advice and you can do it yourself. But, we're really talking to the people who have to pay for these services, these SEO services or social media or whatever.
Absolutely.
You've said a couple things that I want to make sure we highlight and stick around here for a second, because first off, the internet is incredibly transparent and is to say it's a treasure trove of information about your customers would be the understatement of the decade. For people like us who understand the internet and how to get to the data, we can know almost everything there is to know about your business, your customers, what people are looking for, what problems they want solved. And so when you are talking to an SEO company, if they ask you to give them an Excel spreadsheet of the 10 terms you want to be found for, well, you really do need to run, because you're probably not as advanced at using these tools to know what terms you really should be using. Plus, I have found that businesses are the least likely to know what customers really are looking for online, because you live in kind of a bubble.
Oh,
Too close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I would just let that settle in. Business, you don't know. You do not know what people are doing online or searching online. Now, 3 years doing this, I don't think I've ran into a business yet that was right about what terms people are looking for or how people want to use their website.
Yeah, I constantly find businesses that are like, when they're talking about it, even though they're a B2C, a business to consumer business, when you ask them about it and about communications and how to do it in key terms and all this stuff, it's more like they're communicating with their vendors, because they're just so used to being trapped, and they're using this lingo that's just not realistic. It's just, you can't make that decision. You just can't.
Yeah. And the information's there to make the right decision. So you don't, as a business, you shouldn't have to do that. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't approve the terms, but the other thing is, if you have a company that you're planning on working with that sells these services, and there's tons of good ones. We are not the only one in town. There are tons of good ones in town. Optimize Worldwide's a good one. I could name them all over. There's tons of good ones. But if they're just asking you for a spreadsheet, or they're asking you to tell them, you can be pretty sure that it's not important to them to do research. And the thing about search engine optimization is it is almost a constant research program, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a communal. How did I state this earlier? It's like a community that is trying to reverse engineer Google through competition.
Yeah. Right. That's good.
And that's really what we're all doing, is we are trying to reverse engineer it by building off of what the people have done before us, and we're just each, making a little tweak, and we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, because Google, I don't know if businesses know this, Google does not give out a list of everything you're supposed to do to successfully get your client to the top of the list. Google does give you clarity into its intentions, and it does give you tools to view statistics and some important measurements that Google finds important, but there's no list.
They give you about 5 things you should do and 5 things you shouldn't. And
that's right.
And then everything else, the other 1,000 grains of sand, are basically reverse engineered.
Yeah. We get asked that question all the time. Okay, so when should I start seeing results? And my answer has gotten to the point where I just say, I don't know. Right. I don't know. Sometimes it's quick because there's no competition in that market or in those keywords, so you can just go right up. Other times, there are businesses paying as much as $75 per click if they've got ads, which means they certainly are fighting for the search engine optimized placement on Google's page. And so when are you going to get results? Who knows?
Right.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, it really depends on the market, too. If you're in a local market, you'll probably see results faster than if you're in a national market.
Yeah. I can understand a business not listening to us, but, if someone comes to them and says, we don't know when you'll get results, they'll be like, oh, isn't that convenient?
Right.
But it
And I get
is
it.
the way it is, which is...
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's one reason why people have felt very burned in the past.
Exactly.
You know, and ultimately the bottom line is, when will we see results? You know, if you really want to see results, there's a lot more to it. You know, SEO is one of those things that, you know, Joe, you were talking about ads and pay-per-click, you know, and people like to keep the two separate. They say, oh, well, you know, I'm doing my ads and I'm doing my SEO. Well, you know, your SEO really your ads really affect your SEO.
All right, Chauncey. Unfortunately, I have to cut you off there. I hope I didn't use too much of your segment with one of my rants, but we are coming to the end of this.
Rant
this
away,
segment.
my friend, rant away.
We're in our second hour of the Digital Revolution show, literally the most important second hour in all of radio. And we're going to break.
That's true. Yeah.
We'll be right back. We'll see you when you come back. Welcome back to the Digital Revolution show. All right. So we're in the final segment of this new 2-hour show. And as usual, I have about 10 pages of stuff I wanted to get to that we didn't get to.
So we're going to talk really fast in this last segment.
Yeah, so we're going to go really fast. I wanted to bring up a news story, which I think is highlights the importance of some things. Anyone that's heard me talk or speak, I bring up what I call the e-commerce economy. I even have the domain, e-commerce economy. Mm-hmm. And essentially, there is this new economy. And I think of it a lot like the way railroads they would come into new towns, and that would introduce new customers and new products into that town. Well, in a way, this e-commerce economy is our generation's new railroad. And so local communities will have the opportunity and the choice of whether they're going to tap in to this e-commerce economy. Why should you? It's going to eclipse regular brick-and-mortar retail sales in the next year or two. It might have already.
Right.
That's eclipse with a large E and then a hyphen.
It's a
right.
small e with a large C.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And it's also new customers. It means that the local thrift store can sell a product that someone really wants to somebody in Florida. You know, it literally is meeting new customers, and if you're not there, guess what? Other people are going to meet your customer. So this story is really interesting. The largest clothing line in the world, Nike, is now selling its shoes on Amazon. Now, a lot of you listening might go, what do you mean? I just bought Nike shoes on Amazon last week. Well, here's the thing. You didn't buy it from Nike. So there are retailers who have been offering Nike products on Amazon. There's also been people who shouldn't have been offering Nike's products, and it was not in their terms. So in order to combat the e-commerce economy on Nike, Nike has made arrangements to sell its products direct on Amazon, allowing Amazon to help crack down on these people who are selling Nike's products either illegally or just extending their terms, going further than they were supposed to in selling the product. So now the largest clothing line in the world is selling its products on the largest e-commerce platform in the world, and they've made a deal. So if that's not evidence of the impact that the e-commerce economy is having on business, that Nike's having to partner with an e-commerce monster, then I don't know what else is. This is a news story. Anyone can go Google it. There's a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different impact. But to me, that was a really important story to look into, and I think all local businesses need to start watching what's going on in this e-commerce economy. We're going to cover it in this show, and we're going to keep you up to date. So if you want to know what's going on, we'll tell you.
I don't like this story.
Okay.
I got to tell you. I find this story to be indicative of what I find to be the problem in retail in the real world. I view it as a little too... we all know that competition is what fuels our economy. And I feel that when these big guys get together, that it sort of degrades competition a little bit. So
Well-
I think we should use that as a call to action for all you businesses to get out there and say, we have a playing field where we can actually do some competition with these guys.
You know what? So that's an awesome lead into a topic I wasn't going to cover on this, and that is the topic Project Hometown. You can go to projecthometown.com to figure out how to get involved. But essentially, this e-commerce economy is happening. The monsters are doing things like this, but there's no reason that local communities couldn't become monsters ourselves. Imagine if every local business in Redding and Shasta County went online selling their products in an e-commerce fashion the way people want to buy. We become kind of a network that creates a competitor to Amazon, right? We become a network of e-commerce sites supporting each other. We become something that's talked about in the press all around the U.S. and all around the world of this community who decided to lead the charge into tapping in to the e-commerce economy. So I don't think any one business can beat this. But if we all came together, we could.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, especially other marketers and SEOs, might be going like, well, you're never going to compete with Amazon. Well, the fact of the matter is, in organic search results, it's going to be a while. But Amazon will never compete with you in local search results. Amazon is never going to show in that map pack. And if Google decides that there are relevant results for shoes in Reading, they will show a map pack. They will show that information. That stuff will happen. And, so it may be a while before, you get up the chutzpah to take them on in organic. But in local search results, you have the advantage.
That's right, and that's another part of the show is because you do have the advantages of a local business. Now, I want to get into something else. We talked to a lot of new clients over the last couple weeks, and we brought on new clients over the last couple weeks, and there was a couple things that I almost want to call this segment Joe's rant because I was almost angry. And remember, I come from the perspective of business. Both a successful business and a failed business, like Marcus said. So I've learned the hard way, both sides of this. Businesses don't have, I don't care how big they are or how small they are, they don't have extra resources or revenue or capital to waste. And right now, we see vendors, SEO experts, social marketing, website experts, who I think take advantage of the fact that local businesses still haven't quite caught up in how to manage this new world and these new vendors. Mm-hmm. And I saw some companies who had spent $200,000, and I'm not talking about a big company who should have been able to afford that. They spent as much as $200,000 to establish a content marketing process, which never worked, never brought them any results. That's $200,000 gone. I'm talking to somebody else.
I would have sold that to them for $150,000.
Well, I wouldn't have let you.
Just kidding.
We had another client that we brought on who they were convinced to do a risky tactic, a lot of money, and if it paid off, it would be just a windfall of sales. Well, it didn't pay off, and it's not happening, and it didn't work, and none of the goals were met, and so now they're out all this cash. And so over the years, I've developed a kind of marketing personally in my own companies that would never let those things happen. And my business, Joe's Web Geeks, it makes sure those things never happen for our clients. And I call that kind of marketing limited risk marketing. So I want to get this term out there. I want local business to start thinking about it, whether you work with us, no matter who you work with, think limited risk marketing. And what limited risk marketing is it means that you don't spend more than you can afford to lose, for one. And then the other part of it is you have to do small tests because there are so many challenges. There are so many strategies. And just because one of those $200,000 marketing strategies work for one company does not mean it's going to work for you. And what happens is these vendors who sold that $200,000 market strategy that might have worked for one company, they say, well, let's sell it to another company. Well, you don't know if it's going to work. So businesses use limited risk marketing, which means just the simple fact that you don't write a check for anything more than you can afford to lose. And you just take small tests. And if you can't understand whether those tests are working, then spend some time to figure out how to know if a test's working. It may not always be revenue in. It may not always be customers. It may be that you get more clicks. It may be amount of time people spend on your website. It may be one of your radio ads is performing better and you can see it. There are metrics out there that you can find out if these little tests are working. You get a little information and you can move on.
You definitely can, but I get this a lot in my business. I'm guessing that you do too, and this is where I think businesses are dropping the ball on what you're saying, is that they're they're calling you up when they're desperate.
Right.
They're calling you up and they're saying like, oh, we need this and we need it to happen now and so on and so forth. So they don't have that room to dabble. What businesses really need to be doing is realizing that this is a necessary part of their business from the beginning so that they can dabble and really carve out their path in the virtual advertising world.
Right. That's a good point. That's funny. That's one of the things that when I'm asked, well, how long do I have to pay for something or when do I not have to update my website and pay someone to do that anymore? And I just say, look, in this world now, you just got to budget. You have to budget that you're going to spend money on the internet, whether it's website, social, SEO, whatever. This is your new world. So when you budget what you can afford to lose until you have learned and mastered. You would have done the same things in every other department of your business.
Yeah, take your business card budget and flip it over because you don't need that anymore.
Well, if you manufacture things, you don't just buy a giant manufacturing plant and start manufacturing. If you're going to manufacture a new product, you don't just commit. What you do is you produce a prototype. You see if you can manufacture it. You test selling it, and then you make the investment. The same thing has to happen in marketing. You got to do limited risk. Okay, hey, we're coming to the end of this 2-hour show. You've been listening to the Digital Revolution Show. We really appreciate you listening. I hope that we've been able to help you understand the internet. I hope we pulled back some of the green curtain. Check us out, Digital Revolution Show. You can check out our business, joeswebgeeks.com. And you can also check out Mark at High Rise. That was an awesome interview. So we'll talk to you again next Saturday. Thank you.